عذرة.
Around this time last week, we were showing you live images of what was happening in Beirut. Two blasts ripped through the Lebanese capital. At the time of the blast, many foreigners were lounging in their hotels' restaurants or visiting markets, tourist spots and religious places. Foreigners too have been victims of the blasts. And that includes the wife of the Dutch ambassador to Lebanon. Tonight we bring you the accounts of some of these foreigners who survived the blast, who survived to tell the story. Here's a Gravitas ground report.
This is Hedwig Waltmans Mollier, a foreign victim of Beirut blasts. She later died.
The wife of the Dutch ambassador to Lebanon has donated her organs after she died from her injuries in Beirut blast last week. Hedwig Waltmans was not the only foreigner living in this cosmopolitan city. Many other foreigners witnessed the blast and made some sacrifices. As you can see in the footage, this place was affected by the blast, like many hotels in Beirut that have many foreigners. Activists, journalists, and even movie stars from all around the world come to this cosmopolitan city. Today we will see how they lived it and what happened.
Marilu Nahas, a prominent Netflix star, is one of the Americans who witnessed the blast.
I was in my bedroom next to the glass door, and the first explosion happened, and it felt like an earthquake. But I saw black flames coming out from behind the. I was on the 11th floor, so behind the buildings, and then I moved away. Like my first instinct was to actually move away from the glass door. But I was contemplating it, so I was watching because it felt like, I don't know, it felt like it's not over. So when I moved away, I was still looking at the spot where the first explosion happened. And matter of seconds, this whole contemplation was a matter of seconds. And the big explosion happened while the glass door actually was getting out of its spot while the explosion was happening and flying towards me. So I was moving away while watching.
Shakir Khazal is a Canadian writer that lives in Beirut. He too says his piece.
Beirut is a cosmopolitan city, and I always say it's somehow the New York of the Mediterranean, because there are people from everywhere. It's close to Europe, it's close to the GCC, which are two places I work a lot in. I've been writing from Beirut. I always feel inspired. I stay in this hotel, which exposes me to a lot of travelers here, and from there I get a lot of my stories. And today the Middle East in general is the focus of so many events happening in the world, and Beirut is right in the heart of it. So being here for me is important, not only for my business and work, but also for my creative juices. It's the scariest thing ever. It's traumatizing, because even me as an adult, a week after, I'm still super scared to walk next to glass or to be on a balcony. So I can only imagine what kind of trauma like the children of Lebanon will go to. Plus, Lebanon as a country has been going through turmoils, economic, political stability, the fighting, the corruption in this country for the last months. So this blast doesn't only shake, the nation for its impact. It shakes an entire system, and it did. And hence the resignation of the Prime Minister yesterday and a lot of other changes that I can see happening in this country.
These people know the challenges of living in Lebanon. And it seems it makes it more attractive to them.
So I was on a Zoom call with my New York colleagues when all of a sudden the building really started shaking. I thought it was an earthquake at the beginning, but then the window just like fell out of its frame, and I heard a huge detonation. I was like, that must be war. I'm part of like this small community of young French and French Lebanese people here who knew what we were getting into living in Beirut. So on some level, it was a shock, but it wasn't a surprise, if that makes any sense. And we decided to make it our life project to be here. So it's not going to change anything, although unfortunately a lot of the people I know have lost their houses or had their houses destroyed, or we were wounded, injured. We all know someone who died.
The French and the Americans aren't the only foreigners who work or live here. Workers who come as housemaids saved lives and also helped clean streets.
In the end of this report, let us not forget the other foreigners, the poor foreigners. The Ethiopian workers who volunteered and came out to the streets to clean with us, and the 43 Syrians that died and are still missing under the rubble. Ghadi Francis from Beirut for WION. World is One.